is it you pray for?
Greetings, salutations, and welcome to the 95th episode of Abyssal Musings. My name is Samuel the Infamous, and my usual partner, Lawrence Knight, is actually out of town tonight, so he won't be joining us, unfortunately, which also means that we're kind of just winging the show because he's been doing a lot more work than you
And now his internet
guys
has begun
realize,
to ruin
putting
the
these
show.
things
I do
together.
apologize.
And it is what we also have Shadow of Hawk.
Howdy, everyone.
You guys
Sam,
can't
your
hear a
internet
damn
is
thing I'm
shitting itself.
saying, can
I'm hearing every other word, dog. Not
Every
gonna
third
lie.
word. This is going to be great. I'm glad I came.
The second we go live, it's such bullshit.
Yeah, no, like you were perfect, perfect, down to the last minute detail. Everything was fine.
Oh man,
Then we go live.
Oh, I'm glad you're
That's
glad, man. So the
Restart,
second we go live,
brother.
I'm gonna do my
Please.
spiel every fucking time, every Friday and irritating.
Mine's gone to trash too. I think it's made of pasta. We had a little rainstorm down here and it just drizzled a little bit here. And all of a sudden my internet's got the little mushroom in the corner over there. I'm in your hole. Am I alone now? I think we're alone. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing good. I had like one bit of hair. You probably saw me fucking around with it, and it just did not want to stay. So I just ran off to fix that.
Oh no.
Okay.
I'm noticing the chat seems to be saying my name repeatedly
Are
for
we
reasons
back?
I can't fathom. Yes, you are back, Sam. Welcome.
Okay, good. All right. So, well, I hope. Did you guys introduce yourselves, or should I continue?
I'm good.
Kind of half-assed.
We can continue.
Okay. So we have Shadow of Hawk with us tonight. He hasn't been on the channel in a while because, super busy and all that. And then we also have Caucasian Sasquatch joining us this evening here for the shenanigans and also to make fun of me when my shit drops.
That's my purpose.
Oh boy. Yeah. So we are currently live on YouTube, on my channel, on Sasquatch's channel, and also on my Rumble. For some reason, for the last fucking 2 weeks, I have not been able to get this shit to work on Twitter. I wonder if it has something to do with the fact that I took a week off of Twitter and deactivated my account, and now I just don't have access to all the shit that I used to have access to, or what. I still got a blue check, but whatever.
Elon is giving you a spanking because you dared to stop giving him attention.
Uh-oh. What's he going to do to me? I'm excited. I'm thrilled. But, I mean, he looks like a very nice gentleman. I'm sure he spanks well. Look at his shadow. Maybe he'll let us touch the tips.
Can I have a 7-day work week again? Can I have a legitimate excuse not to be here? That'd be great. Oh, Sam's dead.
Yep.
F's in the chat. F's in the chat.
F's in the chat for Sam.
Yeah, press F to
Sam's
pay respect.
Sam's
Press
down.
F. Pay
Older
respect.
God down.
He's gonna be right back. Yeah.
I got
Well, on the
a
bright side, he can't give me shit for what I was streaming earlier today, so that's nice.
Well, this is what happened to Sam.
No, that's what happened to Lauren Chen.
Yeah, no, literally. Dude, can you imagine? All right. Okay, first of all, do you reckon she knew where the money was coming from?
See, here's the thing. I don't even know. Like, I don't believe it. Like, I do not believe. I don't know what to believe. Honestly, like It could be that she was like full on Russian accent, like total actual like 1950s Cold War type spy, right?
Sitting over there with a fuzzy hat, kicking her feet out. Yeah, I got you.
Or it could be she was a voice that was talking out, but was also a small enough nail that they could hammer down as kind of like a warning shot off the bow,
Mm.
and they made up a ton of bullshit. Like it could
How
be
about-
either thing or something in the middle. I just don't fucking know. I just don't fucking know what to
I hear
believe
you.
because this.
That's why I'm bringing this up. How about this? These are specifically creators that operate on a distinct side of the old partisan hallway down the middle, right? Hi, Sam.
To a degree.
Okay.
Shitternet.
So what I was getting at is, what
it
if
is. It's
Yeah, Sam, it's worse now. I'm getting like every like one word in like every couple sentences. Oh, poor
I'd
Sam.
really like to hear him screaming right now. I bet he gives the greatest rage quits.
I am currently turning my volume down. He'll be right back. Yeah, no, I'm currently turning my volume down. Well, while Sam's gone, I think we should say hi to the chat at the very least.
Sure, we can
Is that
do
a thing we
this.
should do?
I can't poke it out and make it glow, but we can definitely poke at it and make it wiggle. Kohai Mascus, welcome to the chat. You are first. Beak, which means he's finally made it as a YouTuber. How about that? We got Andy Pickle in here. Good to see you, bud. Arden Party has popped in the chat. He's over at mine. Aaron Laura. Aaron Laura. La 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 la. Jacob Gallo, welcome in. Good to see you, bud. You got Zillage. Zillage or Silage?
Zillage. I always call him Zillage, and he hasn't threatened any violence against me yet. There's U-Haul. Welcome.
U-Haul.
Cavatino Cavalry Mancha. Welcome.
Okay.
As well as West Side Accountability.
North Alabama Cryptic. Good to see you, baby.
And also Luke Castley's here.
Okay. So, well, not exactly. I'm on my fucking phone.
We have been graced with Samuel the Mobile.
Yeah, so we'll very, very we'll continue as best we can here. If I can get the thing to work, in the meantime, we'll switch back over to PC side. But for right now, Mo's going to have to do. You guys were just saying hello to the chat. I believe I can bring them up from here. So, the other day, because it's stream from my phone, but once in a blue moon. So, all right. So, who do we get to?
Yeah, it's the phone is also dying.
Give me a second.
I feel bad.
Yes, side.
I'm gonna fucking strangle something.
Yeah, he'll be right back. There's a few dead cats in his neighborhood already, but there will be more.
Please don't strangle me. I like living. Living's nice.
I said something. I didn't say you specifically. I mean, if you're volunteering, you know.
I'm down to the challenge, bro. Come at me.
No. I am not volunteering. Absolutely not.
Yeah, I mean, some guys get off on that, so.
I'm not.
All right. So we are 10 minutes into the show. I do apologize to the audience for all of the fuck ups and fuck uppery and probably continued nonsense until I get something else figured out than my current setup. But here we are. So let's. I'm just going to start at the top with the chat real quick and get through that.
All right.
So we got Kohai Mascus with us tonight. We have Beak. I see Andy Pickle in the chat. And we are streaming to 2 separate YouTube channels, so we will get we have chats from both of them backstage. You guys won't necessarily be able to see each other's if you're in the other chat or whatever. But so we also have Ardent Party, Aaron Laura, Jacob Gallo. Let's see, I see Zillage. Some of you guys are used to, the bullshit. So, I'm going to apologize to you as well, but less so. We have U-Haul, which is interesting. I rented some trucks from you.
Kind of talking to him earlier.
Cavatano Cavalry Shea is with us. We have West Side Accountability. I see Lou Castley. Hello. Let's see. Continue to scroll. I got to do all this shit with my finger because I don't have a mouse. There's Shadow, Squatch. Right? It's like I said. It's like I told you the other day, man. You want to hit that sweet spot. You kind of got to hook your finger a little bit.
Yeah. give her a little bit of that action.
Right? North Alabama Cryptid Mr. and Mrs. NAC. Hello. We have Truth Be Told Audits with us today. Awesome. Let's see. I hope I haven't missed anybody. I'm still scrolling.
Truth Be Told is one of those big YouTubers you hear about.
Oh, really? Oh, well,
yeah.
Welcome to the... I'm sorry, Lou. That was really crude of me.
Oh, poor Lou. Well, hey, at least she didn't come into the crudeness this time. She's been in the chat, and then you were crude.
Right. Well, she couldn't hear me swearing behind the scenes. Otherwise, she might have heard some new shit.
I'd throw $5 at something I didn't hear before.
Yeah, most likely. Probably involving a potato peeler in an ear. Anyhow,
see, you would be surprised. Irish granddad. Both my parents were sailors. I've heard some very creative things.
Slowly getting into it. Okay. So I do apologize for the delay and for the fuck up with the tech and all of that.
I have to say this. I'm contractually obligated. Yes, getting into it. That is exactly what she said.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Nice and lubed up. Just.
Did you just try to make a sex joke?
I did not try. I succeeded. Whether or not it was good is determinable.
You'd have to ask her.
Yeah. I guess the attempt is funnier to me than the reality of the joke, but we'll go with it. You spend too much time around us, I think. So anyhow, welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry about the mess. So as some of you guys know, Larry does a lot with this show, and lately he's been taking on more responsibility because he's been trying to get better at and sort of learn how to run streams on his own, which is kind of why there's been a little bit of a change up in the format with the beginning and the opener and all that stuff, is because there's no better way to learn than by doing, right? And so he's kind of taking that over, and I kind of got complacent in the meantime on that, so sorry.
So it's your fault.
Oh yeah, no, I'm fully taking the blame here, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to swear at everything under the sun. So it is what it is. All right, so I don't really have like so we're putting off the Monsters Ball thing until Larry gets back, and he's got some pretty great plans. We have some guest appearances upcoming that we'll announce down the road. All on the road to our 100th episode and also to Halloween. But in the meantime, we're going to probably be putting that off till Larry gets back because he's the guy who's running the bracket, as it were, and it'll should be pretty good. But last week I think we did Michael Myers versus Jason Voorhees, and that turned out pretty well.
Ooh, that would who won?
Oh, Jason.
Yeah, Jason's undead. Michael Myers is a figment of your fucking imagination. So,
I guess, but Michael does have pretty insane regen ability.
Sure,
No,
sure.
absolutely.
Jason came back from hell once.
That is a feat.
Jason chopped off Freddy Krueger's head. So, like, don't even get started with me.
Yeah.
I could take him.
You know,
Let
they
me try
tried.
this.
I could take him.
So they tried to make the ending of Freddy versus Jason ambiguous, but it's not. Jason totally fucking won. So Freddy's pretty useless in the real world, as that movie and most of the Friday or the Nightmare on Elm Street movies prove.
True. But here's the thing about Freddy that always bothered me. You see, here's the thing. When you're dreaming, you have no idea what you're doing. You're just doing stuff. You don't have any memory. You don't have any future. You're just doing stuff. You don't have your full faculties when you're in a dream, right? Come at me in the real world, bro. I'll find a chemical shed and end this shit quick.
Yeah. Well, and that's how it goes. Like, he comes back into the real world, he has to play by the real world's rules, which means he doesn't get to like bend reality to his will. You know, all he's got is a bunch of overgrown fucking knives on one hand and a really, really bad burn.
Yeah, he needs an ointment. That's all.
Yeah.
I mean, here, if he just finds a blicky for the hand without the knives, that's great.
You know what
Just
I think was
regular gun.
Yeah, well, you know what I think was probably the greatest like meta joke in all of those Nightmare on Elm Street movies was and I can't remember which one it was. I think it was 4 or 5. But he shows up as like the pepperonis on this chick's pizza. And it was one of the funniest fucking things ever because, you know, I mean, obviously dude looks like a fucking pepperoni.
That was Dream Warriors, baby. That's Dream Warriors. Yes,
yeah,
sir.
that was that's 3 then. Yeah.
I'm almost
Your word for it. I've only seen parts of 1.
What? Okay. All right. You have had a horrible childhood. I apologize for your parents not raising you right, but listen, we can fix it.
I've
We
seen
can fix
Birth
it.
of a Nation.
Stop talking. You do not have authority. You need to immediately go watch 1 through like 4. You can kind of skip the rest, but you'll get to them later once you get through number 4. 4 is probably, if not the best Nightmare on Elm Street, one of. But number 1, obviously. 4 has here.
I might put 4 at 3rd best.
4 has a dog pissing hellfire.
That's true. But I'm telling, I would put 4 at probably 3rd best, and because, you know, obviously the first one is number 1, but for my money, the only one that comes close to that is Wes Craven's New Nightmare.
Okay, yeah, no, I was going to put New Nightmare second, but then again, that's Wes Craven again. I mean, that's the thing is like,
yeah,
it's Nightmare on Elm Street, the original, only it's new.
Yeah, well, it was really interesting because I don't know how much I want. Shadow hasn't seen any of this shit.
I've seen Birth of a Nation. I've seen that.
That's not in the series, dumbass.
But it's a very good movie with a very compelling plot and a relatable.
All right, but listen.
Are you trying to get us canceled with you?
Yes, he is. This is his effort. But the psychopaths in that film weren't fictional. The psychopaths in this film are.
Okay, that's the difference.
Yeah, that'd be the difference. Also, Birth of the Nation is kind of a shit movie.
It really isn't great.
All things considered.
All right. If you want me to do this, I'll do it. I'll take 30 seconds to do this. The camera angles suck. The freaking lighting is terrible. The plot doesn't work. The interactions, the actual dialogue is utter trash. And it was put together by a paraplegic mouse in the back of a church. So, back to Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah.
Which is a damn fine film.
Well, the first one is absolutely it's right at the beginning of the slasher craze. Yeah, it's not right at the beginning. Obviously, it was 1984, and like I think their first Halloween came out in 1978.
Dude, you already had 2 sleepaway camps.
Yeah, but it didn't really take off as a genre until Halloween.
Dude, Sleepaway Camp did it. Sleepaway Camp was the very first film to have a transgender serial killer in it.
Disagree.
And
Disagree. Disagree.
Okay, wait.
Psycho.
Okay. No, he was dressing up as his mama. That is not the same thing. He was a woman.
He believed he was his mama, though.
That is just psychosis. That's not.
All right, I tell you what, I'll make you a deal, Sam. I'm gonna stick a pin in this and we'll discuss this later. But I'm standing right now on the point that those are different mental illnesses.
No, they are.
Okay. Well, I don't know. I think I'm gonna go out on a limb here. I think transgenderism is psychosis.
No, it is, but it's a different kind of psychosis. Like the guy who thinks he's Napoleon is a very different thing to someone who's bipolar. They're both.
Well, either way, you believe something that isn't true objectively.
But it's a different starting point.
Hold on, but I believe I'm the greatest.
Well, you're not the greatest, Squatch.
Okay, all right. As long as we all know this.
Yeah. So, but no. The whole slasher genre thing. Like, I mean, I will grant you, Sleepaway Camp happened, first, but I don't believe that it caught on as a genre until Halloween. John Carpenter, 1978.
No, I disagree. Sleepaway Camp also defined the rules of your basic slasher film. Previously, it was just kind of an amalgamous kind of concept. You had things like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. You had the very, very early old monster B movies and stuff. And then you had Slaughterhouse and a couple of other ones. Was that 77 or so?
Give or take.
Sleepaway Camp pops out, and it is the formula for the slasher flick going forward. Now, did people realize it at the time? No. It wasn't until Sleepaway Camp 4 that you actually start getting the application of the formula, which is about the same time that Nightmare on Elm Street and all of them started getting really formulaic.
Sure. Oh, you know what? Oh, I would say that it wasn't until Scream that the formula was laid out clear for everybody. Like, not everybody got that there was a formula to it.
Right. No, I get that.
But Scream didn't just lay it out for people. It's like in the script. It's fucking exposition.
Yes. To explain what's going on in the movie right now for the people in the back who weren't listening.
Yeah, I love that fucking movie.
So, one of my favorite parts of the whole slasher genre is the way it morphed from being scary stories to absolute shocking body horror not being bad enough. I mean, you've got to include movies like The Thing in there.
Oh, well, the Thing's kind of in a different subset of horror.
Sure, but it's still sort of a slasher killer. I mean, is Freddy Krueger a human? Is he, or is he an alien?
No, but that's not. Well, he's a dream demon, but which is a different thing. So The Thing is like an unknown almost entirely, right? You get some knowledge of what it is throughout the course of the movie, but you never really fully understand what it is. That movie falls squarely into the cosmic horror realm as opposed to the slasher horror realm.
I'll give you that.
It's like Melissa McCarthy's The Heat. Like you don't know what the fuck is going on. And
actually, I kind of like that movie. It's funny.
I spit on your grave.
There was only one moment. There was only one moment in that fucking horrible movie in like a 2.5-hour runtime that I actually laughed at, and it's when the fucking villain slammed the knife into Melissa McCarthy's leg. Like that's the only thing I laughed at. All of the jokes were fucking horrible. I was sitting there in a fucking film class having to watch that piece of shit over.
Listen, Ed, you have to have some experience under your belt before some of these jokes are funny. But have you seen?
No, I understood the joke. I understood.
Had you seen I Spit on Your Grave, the first version?
I don't know what that is. I'm not going to lie.
Spit on Your Grave is a movie. I think it was made in 73, 74, something like that. It's about
the first one. Yeah.
First one.
What's a
first one?
It's a revenge exploitation flick.
Yeah. Well, it's a slasher movie on upside down. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, so, where the final girl is in fact the killer. Yeah.
Right. The girl, yeah, exactly. So chick moves to this farmhouse out in the middle of nowhere nearby you somewhere where she's going to write the great American novel. She's already started it. She had a little bit of an issue in the city. She decided to come out here for peace and quiet. Goes on a walk one morning, runs into some rednecks that grape her for days. They don't take her anywhere. They just do it in the woods, leave, go home, do their normal day, come back to the woods and have another night. And then leave and go home and come back to the woods and hunt her down again. And she survives. They leave her for dead. She survives, makes it back to her cabin, gets back to the city, and then comes back to town a couple of months later. And from that point on, it's a classic slasher flick, except she's the monster.
Following it from the monster's perspective rather than the people's.
Yeah, kind of. Well, it takes so Shadow. It's yes and no. Like she's a victim and she is getting revenge on the people who victimized her. That's what it is. But she becomes a monster in the course of getting her revenge. She doesn't start out that way.
And the way they show that monster that taking place is by transferring from the body horror of everything that's happened up to this point to the actual slasher format when she comes back to town. And it's obvious she's the monster from that point on.
So
right?
It's a better Last of Us 2 or Vinland Saga then. Where it doesn't pussy out in the last couple of bits with like bullshit, be a good person message.
Well, I don't know about Vinland Saga. I never saw that, but
first of all,
don't bother.
Just watch the movie and then we'll discuss what to compare it to, because there's
right?
nothing to compare it to.
Well, I would say that there was one Wes Craven movie that you could make a comparison to, even though I fucking hate this movie. Last House on the Left.
Okay, yeah. No, I'm not a fan of that movie either, but it is creepy as hell.
Oh, yeah.
It does its job. It does. You don't like it because it's so effective.
Yeah, it's I have a very short list of movies I will never watch again, and that's number 3.
Yeah, I'll buy that.
Yeah, it's essentially the similar kind of situation. You know, a couple of girls get taken by some very, very bad people who are on the run from breaking out of prison. They do very, very, very bad things to these girls. And the rest of the movie is their parents, who the bad guys do not realize that these people are the parents of the girls they just violated repeatedly, taking horrific, bloody revenge on the killers. It's got some of the most disturbing shit I have ever seen in it. I mean, there's a bit where one of the mothers is going down on one of the killers and she bites his dick off. And it's extremely graphic.
There's another movie in that same genre, and I'm drawing a blank on the name of it, but it's actually based off a true story. And for whatever reason, this mother decides that the oldest daughter has become a whore and locks her in the basement for the rest of the kids to abuse at their leisure. Mm-hmm. It's a wild film. I can't remember the name of it. If you want me to, I'll go look it up. But I would advise no one to watch it.
It sounds a little bit like Flowers in the Attic, actually.
it's very similar to Flowers in the Attic, except it's an alcoholism / abuse trope, right? Mm-hmm. The alcoholic mother takes all of her own personal failings out on a single kid until it kills her.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
terrible. It's bad.
There's some really, really dark shit out there that I wouldn't recommend to people. And I love horror movies, but I like my horror movies the way I like them, you know. And there's just some shit. Like somebody mentioned
on the left. If somebody suggests watching Last House on the Left, that is a red flag. That is a red flag for me on that person, because they have seen it and they thought it was a good thing.
Hi, Sammy Chan. How you doing, buddy? Hi, Sammy Chan.
Hi, Larry. He just jumps in to do that shit. All right. So my buddy Shaka Zulu 12.
Hold on. You fuckers were telling me to watch House on the Left, and then you're saying that's a red flag?
No, I've never told anybody to watch that fucking movie.
Worth it to watch if you're doing film. If your purpose of your channel is to cover film, you have to watch this film to know the type of trash that you need to avoid, right? But if you're not doing film, I would avoid it.
Yeah,
He is recommending I watch it. That is a red flag. I refuse to associate with Caucasian Sasquatch going forward. Sorry to interrupt
yeah.
you, Sam.
So
If
there
you're
are
a good
movies.
kid.
There
And
are
also,
movies that are worse. There are
yes,
movies that are much worse that I would definitely like. One of them got mentioned here in the chat by Auntie at Jack. The Human Centipede. Don't watch that, and definitely don't watch the second one because it's much worse.
it was intentionally
The third one's
made.
kind of dumb as shit, but yeah. And if anybody, I swear to God, Shadow, if anybody you ever meet ever recommends a film called a Serbian film, run the other
Serbian
fucking
film?
direction as fast as you can.
Wait. The name was a Serbian film?
Don't watch it. I'm telling you, do not.
Have you ever
Okay, I
seen
need to block.
Hostel?
Okay, I need to block someone.
Have you ever seen Hostel?
No, I have not. But Serbian
All right.
film was.
So
Yeah. Okay, I'm just blocking someone. Okay. There we go.
Hostel occupies this place somewhere between like well, not Dead Alive. Is it Dead Alive where the cream corn comes in effect?
I've got absolutely. No clue.
Yeah, I think so. That was a Peter Jackson movie though.
Right. No, it was. But it occupies a type of body horror that is kind of antithesis to Hostel. Hostel is all about damaging the body, whereas Dead Alive is all about the things that it's just absurd. It's like the Naked Lunch. It's absurd. It's hard to quantify Dead Alive.
I'm younger than one of Sam's kids. I understand like every third word you guys are saying.
I'm sorry, dude.
I'm pretty sure I'm younger than some of your kids. Watch.
One of them.
Well, thanks for stopping by, Midsize Sasquatch. Yeah, just don't. There are certain movies that will put shit in your head that you can't ever scrub out,
Yeah,
and
you can't
I
scrape
know.
that brain.
Yeah, not you couldn't scrape it out with like a trowel.
Yeah.
You know. So yeah, just there's certain ones. I wouldn't recommend Human Centipede. It's just fucking gross.
Motel Hell. Hold on now. All right, so let me caveat this. The first time I watched Motel Hell was also the first time I got drunk, smoked weed, and did LSD all at the same time, right? So I am not in my normal frame of mind.
That was probably a bad move.
It was not a great move, but listen, I don't understand why it went the way it did. I sat down on the couch, turned on the thing, Motel Hell's coming on, and I'm sitting there just going to town on this stuff. And I'm convinced it was Porky's for like the first.
Oh no. Oh no.
And I'm very confused, but when it starts kicking off and I realized this isn't Porky's, I started laughing and couldn't stop. So fast forward to when it gets to the really sick part in the middle. Everybody comes in from where they were gone. There's like 10 people and they walk in to me laughing so hard I'm crying. And it's one of the worst movies you can possibly be watching.
Dude, that is you know what? That's like confusing like something like eating Raoul with Cannibal Holocaust. It's so much worse.
Pat, do you understand what they're saying? They're speaking some kind of ancient, archaic language I don't understand. References from
He's not
movies.
wrong. I know references the movies that
Let me put it this way, kid. Let me put it this way. Cannibal Holocaust was a movie that was so convincingly horrendous that the director and some of the producers were actually brought to trial by several countries' governments over this shit.
Yes. It wasn't because of the terrible plot.
Also, all of the animal, stuff that happens in it is real.
Was it an Eastern European film by chance? Because I know that they don't have animal protection laws.
No, it was made here in the States.
Right.
Yeah.
I know Come and See, like the cow that gets gunned down is like an actual cow getting gunned down, and they actually the actor for the main character got traumatized because he had actual live munitions flying over his head for that scene.
Yeah, well, like in this
Pretty
case,
horrifying.
they torture, mutilate, kill, and eat animals, and none of that shit was faked. But
Yeah,
the
no, they torture
all the human
people
stuff was.
and eat animals on film. You watch it take place. So, yeah.
They also do it to people in the course of the story, but none of the people harm was real. But it was very, very convincingly
Very
shot.
convincing.
So
Very
that's like
convincing. In
that's
fact,
stripped from
Cannibal
filters, got it.
Holocaust is the reason we have cheesy effects.
Yeah, it is actually.
You know good and well some of these boys out here could convince you, could make you believe you just witnessed somebody have their chest cut open and parts pulled out. You've seen The Thing, you've seen The Fly, you've seen movies that you know could have been much, much better if they were permitted to be more real. But even like The Walking Dead and whatnot, all of the zombies in The Walking Dead are cartoonish.
To an extent, yeah.
Yeah.
Enough.
I mean, they
Just
do their
enough.
best. It's got to be realistic enough that it doesn't break immersion, but they're not going to go to the certain level of realism because, because of what happened to the guys who made Cannibal Holocaust.
It would
Actually,
be really, really funny if they actually did kill people. They just had a really, really good legal team.
That's not funny at
It's
all.
hysterical, sir.
It is only funny if you're not one of those or on YouTube. Either one of these, it's funny, but then it's not
Or-
funny on YouTube at all.
No,
it is on
disagree. I think
Rumble
it's
though.
hilarious.
No, but they didn't do any of that shit. But anyway, I would not recommend watching that movie because it marks people.
Well, I mean, also Full Metal Jacket is kind of
Sure.
a really strange
good
one
movie.
because you can actually drop Full Metal Jacket into several different genres of movie depending on how you interpret what you're seeing. If you assume there's an unreliable narrator at the very beginning, then everything in it could be either some level of dream, vision, trauma, you know.
Full Metal Jacket or
Full Metal
not
Jacket, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Andy,
All right,
If you were
so-
Andy
talking
Pickle,
about
I had a
Generation
girlfriend
4.
once who used to masturbate to Faces
Watching
of Death.
faces. Dude, I worked in a movie store for years, and Faces of Death was like the whole series was one of the things that we didn't rent, but was behind the counter.
Yeah.
Just want to clarify something. You watch this kind of shit, right? But you call Berserk, and you can't see my hold on.
No,
You call
I don't
Berserk-
watch this shit anymore, kid. That's why I warn people against it. I have seen
you
a
call
lot of it,
that- you call
unfortunately.
Berserk porn.
I'm not happy about having seen it. I think
I'm not
you're
either.
mistaken this year.
X to doubt. I believe you are perfectly happy having seen it.
I
Yeah.
worked in a movie store. I had to watch these things because if they don't function or somebody stuck a freaking cheese sandwich on the tape and it's going to stick in the VCR, it has to happen to our VCR or we have to fix it.
Yeah. I got to clear
You
this
have
up
to-
here real quick. So regarding what I said, Andy, about the whole Faces of Death thing, yes, she did used to masturbate to things like Faces of Death, and we're not together. We haven't been together in like 20 years, man, and for good fucking reason. Bitch was crazy.
Have you seen The Last Outlaw?
I don't think so.
Probably one of I just drew a blank on his freaking name.
Le Petit Mort.
Oh,
Le Petit Mort while watching Le Grand Mort.
oh God. Yeah. You get the participation trophy of the night there, Andy. Congratulations.
Yeah. So there are definitely branches and genres of horror that some of them I wouldn't even call horror. There's some stuff I label torture porn,
No,
and I don't call it horror at all.
Hostel. I consider Hostel snuff.
Oh, Hostel is absolutely torture porn. Yeah, and it's not even. I mean, first of all, I think Eli Roth was probably the worst fucking thing to happen to horror in many decades. Probably since Cannibal Holocaust, actually.
Jump scares are probably the worst thing to come to horror movies.
No, I
Jump scares
disagree.
are properly utilized.
Jump scares are a fucking staple, man.
Yeah. In fact, there's a particular type of jump scare that happens 3 times in every true horror film. There's the artificial jump scare that happens at the beginning where it's your little sister, or your little brother, or the neighbor's kid, or the cat, or the dog, or a bird, or a bat, or a fucking, it's something. The mobile falls off the bed, you know. Then you have the pop jump scare, which is the first time you hear about whatever critter, monster, slasher, whatever it is that's going on out there. And then the guy telling the story or his best friend goes boo and gives you that second jump scare. Then you have the actual jump scare of the slasher, monster, threat, whatever it is. Money shot.
Gotcha.
Yeah. No,
I just know a lot of modern films overuse the jump scare to like my brother and I were trying to watch horror movies one October, and they all just sucked because they overused jump scares.
How modern?
Except for one of the Annabelle movies. That one really freaked us out.
How modern?
I think the earliest one was 2012.
Okay, so very modern. Okay, so what you're talking about are young filmmakers who don't understand how to build atmosphere and ambiance and tension.
Right.
They just throw jump scares in there just willy nilly. Now, if you go back to Alien from 1979, the bit where Tom Skerritt is in the fucking crawl space hunting down the thing, and you hear on the thing the radar's going off, and it's getting closer and closer and closer. I mean, it is one of the most well done. You know it's coming, and it still fucking nails you every time because they built tension. There was atmosphere. They used their lighting and their sound to excellent effect. You know, the fear on the face of the actor. Everybody who was in Alien is a fantastic fucking actor, by the way.
No, Alien is one of the greatest pornos ever. Yeah.
Point is that they knew how to do jump scares. It's not just the jump. You can't just throw a jump scare at people and expect it to do its job. You have to lay the groundwork first.
You can, but only if you're going to have the money shot jump scare later that actually is set up to work. Sure. Your first jump scare can just be a shot on the wall, right? It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But if you're going to have jump scares, they should be used properly and should be a building tension, not an ending tension.
Yeah. So, like, there's plenty of great ways to do that. One of my favorites was from a movie that arguably isn't even a horror movie because it's got so many different elements mixed into it. Jaws, 1975. Right. The bit where Chief Brody is chumming on the back of the boat, and he's like, "I'd like to see you come back here and chum some of this shit." And then the shark just comes out. They don't even play any music, nothing. It's silent as shit. It just comes out of the water.
He just sees it. He's like standing there. He glances over and sees the eyeball that's the size of a truck tire roll next to him, and he doesn't even flinch. He just freezes,
and then he backs up.
He gets somebody who can hear him. He says, "We need a bigger boat. Take us in right now. We need a bigger boat." Oh, come on! I've been hunting sharks in this water for 40 years. We need a bigger boat.
Yeah, that makes me think. I would love to see like a horror movie where like they have, you know, like they're walking down the hallway, and like you got like the creepy music as if there's gonna be a jump scare. And then like midway through that music, you just like the music goes dead. You just hear a commotion, you turn around, friend's dead, just like on the ground or on the wall or something. Don't even see what did it, and it's just silence, 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 next scene.
Yeah.
I think that'd be like a really interesting because you'd expect the jump scare, and the jump scare never comes. That'd be a pretty interesting thing, I think.
Well, that happens in older horror movies, you know, where they had to utilize every tool to make an effective movie because they didn't have huge budgets.
So
right? That's
the jump scare would be built, miss, built, miss, build up, jump scare. And then more build up right after that were them running and trying to escape and stuff. It's
And then Stephen King includes Twisted Things.
Well, those are novels. That's
fair.
That's a different kind of build-up because you know you can see every word on the page. It's a whole other thing. Most of that takes place in your imagination, which arguably is more effective. Like take Alien for example. You don't even see the whole thing until the final bit of the third act, right? It's almost always either partially obscured or off camera or whatever. And so you're building this thing up in your mind, and that's why it was so scary. Now here, I just heard tell the other day that somebody is remaking the fucking Exorcist again, and dude said the director, I think he said that his is going to be the scariest movie ever made. And I said, number one, that is not the first time I've heard somebody say that about their upcoming horror movie. And number two, not a single horror movie who's had any sentiment of the kind that's come out since 1979, not one of them has been as scary as Alien.
Yeah, the Alien was terrifying, dude. All by itself, without trying to be a horror, without trying to be sci-fi, without trying to be, dude, it is existential horror at its core.
Mhm.
Amazing. Okay, let's turn this on its head a little bit though. What did we learn from slasher films through the venue of spoofs?
Definitely don't have sex.
Yeah,
Never
exactly.
say I'll be right back. I mean, if you want the playbook, man, watch Scream.
Watch Scream, right? Well, have you ever seen the one called "I Know It"? Don't scream unless you know what I did last summer or something. I can't remember.
I'm pretty sure I did, but I'm pretty sure I was drunk at the time too.
Dude, it's okay. First of all, on its surface, it's a horrible film, but if you sit down, like rather than being drunk, if you're sitting around and you're bored, just take a look at all of the stabs it takes at all of the different horror. If you're steeped in horror like I am, it gets funnier as you go along and realize that in the background sometimes they have some really deep cuts. You know, there's this one scene, and they don't explain it. This is the best part. This is the part I love the most. It's just a scene in the background that's from another movie that you may not remember from that movie. It's not a primary scene. It's not a major scene. It's nothing that anyone would notice to be able to say, hey, you're stealing content. But it is there. And so, like, at one point in time in this movie, there's a scene where I think chick runs over the dude with a lawnmower. And that is the scene is set up straight out of like Sleepaway Camp 3 or whatever it was. It might even be the same cabins. I don't know. But there's no build up for it. There's no prep for it. There's no explanation. It's somewhere between the scene of the chick running through the sprinklers and then the stunt double tripping and falling down while they're running through the sprinklers. It's dumb, dude. It's so dumb. But it's so freaking dumb that once you get over the stupidity that is being just flounced upon you, because everybody in horror movies are stupid, and these are the stupidest people ever. Right?
Yeah, again, I reference you to Scream. You know, when some dumb blonde big-titted bimbo runs up the stairs instead of out the front door. Which is a quote, by the way, if anybody out here hasn't seen Scream, which has been out for almost 30 years now, go watch that. But that's almost a direct quote from the final girl in that movie. Which is funny because what's her name? Now I can't remember her name. She was in E.T. as a little kid.
Drew Barrymore?
Yes, Drew Barrymore. Drew Barrymore dies exactly that way. In the first like 10 minutes of the movie.
Am I the only one that fell in love with Drew Barrymore when she did Firestarter?
I don't know who that is.
You can bitch at me if you want to, but we're the same age, so shut the fuck up. I was like 7 or 8 and saw Firestarter, and I told my dad that woman is going to be a star. He said, "What woman?" I said, "The little girl." She's like, "You really think so?" Nobody ever heard of her, seen her nowhere. Nobody knew nothing about her. Like, that's a star. I did the same thing with who was the chick that played Natalie Portman. Natalie Portman when she was in Leon.
Oh yeah, The Professional.
The Professional. Well, yeah, The Professional. I watched it and then left my home before work, stopped by the movie store and picked up a copy of it, went to work, and then when I got off work, I went by my buddy's house and just walked in and took what he was watching out, turned off his game, stuck in Leon and sat down. And he's like, "What the hell are you doing?" I said, "Just watch." And after
I don't know
movie,
if it's just Google is not giving me good images, but I don't see what you're talking about.
Firestarter?
Drew Barrymore.
She was the child in Firestarter in the first Firestarter movie. She was the little girl that burned everything.
with her brain.
With her brain.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's about a pyrokinetic.
Yeah. It's a Stephen King book, actually.
Yeah, but it wasn't really a horror novel as much as it was. I don't know, kind of a.
Welcome in.
I don't think it really was though, man. It was because it was more about her on the run from the authorities.
Yes, but the horror part of it was the fact that anyone who helps her could feasibly get killed any second if she has an error.
Sure. But it was like Escape to Witch Mountain if they killed people.
Are you talking about Chucky, Charlie? Charlie who? Which one?
The I don't know, the twins, the alien twins in Escape to Witch Mountain.
Oh, wow.
It's been a long time since I saw that. Haley Mills played one of them way back in the day.
Wow.
It was a Disney flick though, so obviously they didn't kill anybody with their fantastic alien mind powers. But if they did, it would be Firestarter.
Basically, yeah. No, it'd be like one of the twins got away. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's an interesting headcanon, bro. I had never considered that one.
Yeah. So, Shadow has no idea what Escape to Witch Mountain is.
Of course not.
Actually, that's the movie with, I think it was like The Rock, and it's like the two alien kids.
No, that's a shitty remake.
That's the bad remake.
I know I've seen that movie. I don't remember where I saw that movie. I do not remember watching that movie. I barely remember the plot of that movie. But I can describe scenes from that movie. Not the ones in the trailer.
Trauma. That is trauma, sir.
Or the fact that I probably watched it on like an 8-hour flight to South Korea when I was like,
oh yeah, I guess you're right.
9, 10.
Yeah.
See, if I'm repressing that shit, I should be repressing some other shit.
You don't get to choose what you repress, bro.
Oh, absolutely not.
So
I'd love to repress like a lot of shit from this channel.
Larry has ruined me, man.
A solid 60% of the time that I've spent on this channel, I would just gone, please. Gone.
Yeah. Brings to mind the anal rail gun.
It's more than me, so I'm fine with that.
Anywho, but yeah, now there's like Firestarter was good though. It was a pretty solid movie. But it wasn't, like I said, I even though it's a Stephen King movie, so is the Green Mile. Green Mile's not a horror movie either. So was Shawshank. Shawshank Redemption is a Stephen King movie.
Yes, you're not wrong. But it depends on how you interpret the story. Once you introduce an unreliable narrator, it becomes somewhat of a different story, right? Think about the premise from John Coffey's perspective instead of the head screw. When you're looking at Shawshank Redemption, think about it from Andy's perspective instead of Red's. That is a horror, sir.
No, fair enough. So, well, I mean, it is, and it's certainly a prison movie. It's certainly a crime drama.
The Sisters, bro. Oh, if anybody's interested, Scully in the chat, just drop your link. We did the Tarantino version of the script that was AI written for the Shawshank Redemption, where I was the hardest screw to ever turn and walk at Shawshank, and I loved that whole thing. It was great. I had tons of fun doing it. Great cast. It went off without a hitch. There was even a scene where somebody said something about dropping something, and someone knocked their mic off, and it sounded like it. It was great. It was great stuff.
Yeah. So, oh yeah, Scully Pop says that was fun. Hell yeah.
Yes, tons of fun. We did the Wizard of Oz.
I actually caught that one. Yeah.
It was fun.
You know what? I did catch that one, and whoever you guys got, I don't remember his name. Whoever you guys got to do the Cowardly Lion was badass. He was fantastic.
Dude. Listen, I showed up to read for the Cowardly Lion because put him up. I got a good Cowardly Lion. Homie just blew me out of the water. I didn't even bother. I was like, nah, man, he's got it. And they were like, nah, give it a shot. I said, no, I know when I'm bested, he's better than I am. But then again, it turns out he's better than me in a bunch of voices. So, you know, it makes sense.
Yeah.
I got
Sorry about the cough there, folks. I didn't hit the mute button in time. Normally I try to keep that behind the. But yeah, no. So anyway, point is, Shadow, I guess we're trying to expand your horizons a little bit. There is a wide variety of films out there in numerous genres, but I mean in horror in particular, right? That I think are worth watching. But there's also a bunch of ones you need to avoid, like fucking landmines.
All right, I got one. I got a good one.
I'll just do the safe thing and stick to what I like. Like I like
You
comedies.
don't know what you like until you see it, and if you haven't seen it, you don't know if you like it. So stop that, child.
No, I've seen horror movies, and they're either like bad, so I don't enjoy them.
Here's another genre, totally different genre, falls firmly in the horror genre if you look at it that way. Black Devil Doll from Hell. If you have never seen this film, it is worth watching just to know how not to film a movie. It was specifically built. It was probably filmed for $48 by some crackhead. Homie had a puppet, and it's basically Chucky for black people with no money. It's hilarious. It is hilarious. It's like everything that a horror movie should be except good.
Yeah, no, I'll stick with comedies like Saving Private Ryan or All Quiet on the Western Front, stuff like that. Stuff that makes me laugh.
Did you just call
is a comedy?
Did you just call Saving Private Ryan a comedy?
The one I'd be more concerned about is All Quiet on the Western Front. That's the one I'd be concerned about.
It is a comedy.
I have heard many things from many veterans since that movie came out. People who won't talk about what they witnessed, especially at the time, people who were still alive who had been to Normandy on D-Day. Yeah. That's no comedy.
Yeah, I know it's not a comedy. That's why I said it like that. I feel like saying All Quiet on the Western Front being a comedy would be the warning sign.
Have you ever read All Quiet on the Western Front?
Want to? I want to. Here's the problem. I've read about maybe half of what you can see.
No,
I've got more shit that you can't see that I haven't read.
I hear what you're saying.
I'm not allowed to buy new books.
What I'm getting at is there are just the movies, all versions of All Quiet on the Western Front are done well, but it's really hard to convey. Who's the guy that's always stealing stuff? Was it Alley Cat or Lukey Cat or
it's been a long time
Scat Cat or something like that? Anyway. That character, something that you don't realize in the movie because they keep the same person in that role for continuity's sake. During the book, that cracker dies, and another thieving ass dude kind of takes his place, but they don't bother changing his name because, well, he'll be dead in a week anyway. And he is. And another shifty ass dude steps in and takes his place. And so the guy that's known as the cat or the whatever, he's just the dude that gets things that's in the company, right? He just gets stuff.
At least the most recent one got the thing that like Paul was dead from like dysentery or something a week before the final battle even happened. He wasn't even a part of it. You find out midway through that he didn't die. He didn't even get like the send off of fighting. He died from something else.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of details in the book that just don't transfer to film. They just don't.
Yeah, like it's a completely different media, and also when you're making something for an audience and you want to make money, especially an American audience, I can think of a very specific book to film adaptation that was butchered and mangled and brutalated to appease the American audience fairly recently. And you're never going to get a one-to-one, but All Quiet on the Western Front, beautiful movie. At least the remake.
Let's take a stab at that.
The newest one.
Let's take a stab at that. What's the best book to film adaptation we've seen?
I would not say book to. I would not say.
Are you talking accuracy or quality?
Let's go quality over accuracy.
Quality over accuracy. Okay.
if we're doing that, not film, show, the Saxon Tales to the Last Kingdom show, the show itself, in many ways, is a bastardization of the books, either due to budgeting, like for instance, in the first book, the main character does a lot of stuff with like ships and naval battles, but the BBC didn't have the budget for that, so they cut that plot line completely. And then like kind of shambled some of the stuff from that into a different plot line in the book. And then they cut characters, add characters, what they do.
I'm
But in
going to
regards
upset
to
Sam.
but in
Oh, boy.
regards to like emotional weight and drama, the show improves upon the themes of the book. So in regards to quality, it's one of those cases where the show adaptation is actually better than the books in some ways, and that's why I think it's the best book to show adaptation.
The most recent Dune.
No.
No, it was not a good.
All right. I'm not speaking of quality in the sense of accuracy to the tale. I'm speaking of quality into like the dedication to the scene work, right?
I think that it is certainly better put together than a lot of things, but there are still some glaring things in it that kind of take it down a notch for me. Like, for instance, Zendaya's entire fucking performance. I'm not even talking about the butchery they did to Johnny's character.
All right, no. She doesn't count. She's just make her an extra. It doesn't matter that she's a star. Just kick.
Bro, I remember when I saw her in the theaters. When I saw that it was Zendaya, I was walking out of the theaters. My dad, I go, I don't like that it was Zendaya. I feel like they're going to, no, I'd seen so after I read the book, sorry, I'm getting these, after I'd read the book, I was talking to my dad about it. My brother walks in as I'm talking about it. My brother just jokingly calls me a racist because he, for whatever reason, likes Zendaya. My dad's like, you don't know, you gotta wait until it comes out. Guess who was fucking right? That Zendaya's inclusion ruined the character.
No,
Thank you,
I don't
American
believe
audience.
I don't believe it was Zendaya's inclusion that ruined the character. I think that the writing ruined the fucking character. I think Zendaya has gotten a big head because she gets hired for all this stuff, and so she feels like she doesn't have to actually put the effort anymore. I have seen that girl act well. I know she can. She just is choosing not to.
Yeah.
Right?
There's a couple of things in there that bothers me that specifically she could have improved if she'd have just put forth effort.
Yeah.
In the book, one issue in the books is freaking Fremen women don't ovulate like normal humans. They are so inundated in spice, they all have a slight Bene Gesserit kind of effect on their own bodies. Mm-hmm. Most of them can't do anything else, but they can regulate their own ovulation cycles. They don't get pregnant unless they choose to. So the entire arc of her becoming pregnant is because she chooses to, not because anything else. It wasn't an accident, oopsie kind of thing. Oh, shucks. Well, what are we going to do? No, she chose to get pregnant during a time of war because of who it was she had an opportunity to reproduce with.
And to by the way, which they left almost entirely out of that fucking movie. Like they put in some of the relationship building and stuff because they foreshortened obviously the amount of time that it was supposed to take. It's supposed to be 2 or 3 years, I think. And in that time, she bears Paula's son, 14. Who was the first lead of the second, who ends up being killed when Fade Ralpha takes out their home siege.
Mm-hmm.
Right, all of that was just left out of the movie, and I can forgive that. Like I said, like you were saying, Squatch. If we're talking about just sheer quality of actual filmmaking, then yes, I'll give you that. I would say that Dune 2 is better put together than for the first part because the first part wasted too much fucking time on long shots of pretty things.
I disagree because I have to disagree because the final third of the film is just way too fucking rushed in part 2. It should have been. It's compared to part 1.
Look, that's what I'm saying. That comes from the fucking extra long shots in the first movie. They wasted too much time, so they had to cram a whole bunch of shit together in the second movie.
Also, in the actual book layout, there are 4 different plot lines taking place simultaneously, and everybody's backstabbing everybody else. And it's like 9 different plot lines, but they're all backstabbing each other, except Paul Atreides, his mother, and his sister. These three are working together in concert, and everyone else is trying to take people out from above them so that they can get more power, not realizing that they've just let God himself walk through the front door. They're
That's another
squabbling.
thing. You touch on something that's another thing that I really did not like about part two is Paul is actively scheming and planning. He is a warlord in the second book, in the second part of the first book. Like he is he is what he turns into against his will at the end of
Yes.
the second movie. But that's how he is throughout the entire book after his father dies. He actively is seeking to control Arrakis. He's actively seeking to use the Fremen. Like he is a warlord.
No. You see it as scheming. You see it as plotting. He sees it as his birthright. This isn't scheming. This is the natural course of events that has to take place in order for the correct person to be in charge of Arrakis.
Right, but the thing is, in the second film, he's like, I don't want to rule you. I don't want to. You're right. You have your right to your land. I'm not your conqueror. I'm just Paul. He is the unwilling protagonist. He is the unwilling hero. But in the
Yes.
book, he is a by choice compulsory warlord. He does
But
everything
there's also
everything
another
he's
difference
forced to do
here.
in the film. He chooses to do in the book, and the reason
There-
why he can't choose to do it in the film is because Americans, for whatever reason, we have hang-ups about rooting for warlords and imperialists.
But
No,
there's another layer here.
it was the
Fremen-
religious angle, but yeah.
the religious angle. The Fremen don't need to be ruled over. You don't. All they have to say is, "Okay, you're the chosen one. Then you make the rules, bro." And there's nobody dissents. Anyone who dissents gets thrown out of the siege and they die in the desert.
Didn't happen to Johnny. Another problem with the second movie.
Once again, yeah, but Chani also, like, again, this is not like the, as Squatch said, it's not the one-to-one, right? Because in the book, she doesn't fucking dissent. She's behind Paul every step of the fucking way because she understands who he is and what his path is, even if she doesn't see the path herself, the golden path. He does, and she trusts him, and she believes in him.
She hears his voice when he's thinking, but he can't. She can't understand what's being said, but she knows that he's had a sudden thought that is impressive to him. She looks over at him, nothing. The Bene Gesserit face, nothing. There's nothing there. She's like, I swear he just said something. But really, she has so much spice in her from living there. And he is so tweaked up on spice, like really high quality spice, refined spice, that he's broadcasting a very small bubble of his intent. And she stays right in that crap like it's smack. Like she loves it. The power that he exudes, she loves it.
I would like to,
What's up, Joko? Judd, welcome in, y'all.
Yeah. I would like to answer Squatch's question myself, as far as like what I think probably, while not necessarily like a one-to-one. If I'm going one-to-one, I'd have to say the first Hellraiser movie, the original, because it is.
I do apologize.
Very, very, very close. It is very close to the actual novella that it's based on. There are a few key differences. Like in the book, Kirsty is a family friend. She's not Larry's daughter. The Cenobite that's described as Pinhead appears is in fact androgynous to the point of almost being female. The engineer is a naked lady and not a weird upside down scorpion thing that chases people through hallways. There are some differences, but otherwise the story is beat for beat pretty much exactly what it is in the novel. But if I'm going with just like how well made the movie is from the novel and not necessarily one-to-one, I'd have to go with Annihilation. I'm assuming.
That's the.
So how do you like the interpretation of the first Hellraiser movie being a sort of expose discussion, like a meta of addiction and alcoholism?
I think that I don't know about alcoholism. I don't think that necessarily needs to be thrown in there because I think in the overall discussion of the nature of addiction, like obviously alcoholism is included, but in this case we're talking like not even just sexual addiction, but just hunger, really. never-ending hunger, never being sated, which is, of course, what leads you to hell, essentially.
Yes. The reason I include alcoholism, there's another movie that has weird connotations. Like I'm a big fan of the unreliable narrator. When you include the idea of an unreliable narrator, there's a lot of things that become more possible in movies. Like your suspension of disbelief can be cast a little bit further afield. Like I was saying about Seven actually being a Riddler film.
Or the Batman actually just being Seven with Batman tacked on.
Sure. You get what
which
I'm
is
saying.
generally how I look at it, but they were both directed by Matt Reeves too. It's kind of his whole shtick. Read some shit about his upcoming sequel to that too that I'm not super fucking pleased about. But yeah, I guess, you know, I could see the argument for alcoholism, but just in the context, really in the context of the nature of addiction.
Addiction for Hellraiser. House is about alcoholism.
Sure. And also extremely funny.
It is. I love it. House 2. And people hate me when I say this, but House 2 was probably the better of the two films, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Partly because of the guy he calls, who's an adventurer / phone repairman / plumber / occult specialist / Ghostbusters. dude goes to the yellow pages. He's like, I'm having troubles with my phone. And there's phone companies, there's phone people, there's phone stuff. And I think his sink starts leaking, and he looks over and he looks back, and there's a full page, yellow page ad. Adventurer, plumber, phones, this, that, the other thing, hedges, exterminator, this, that, some other shit. He calls him up, and the dude shows up with a whip and a hat and a light. And it's like, yeah.
I'm just gonna quickly say this before before I interrupt a conversation properly. It's about midnight. I should probably catch some Z's. I've been up since 5 a.m.
I thought you said that you didn't have to get up tomorrow.
I don't have to get up. Well, I don't need to get up early tomorrow, but I have been up since 5 a.m. and I'm starting to nod off. Normally, I would be in bed 2 hours ago.
Yeah, off to bed with you.
You can flake out egg. It's okay.
Seriously though, wait.
The adults will carry your weight. It's fine, bro.
Yeah.
Thanks, Sam, for having me on. Sorry for not being as good as Larry. Can't replace him, but hope I did a decent enough job.
You're just saying that so you don't get canceled because he's black.
My question is, was it as good for you as it was for me?
Doubt
it.
I'm going to leave that right there. So before you go, please do pimp your shit, including the fact that you are now a brony.
Fuck you.
He's having little adventures in Equestria earlier today on his channel. Folks, go check that out.
No, I was on Griffiths. I was on the Griffin continent. Griffiths, not fucking Equestria. No, I'm not setting foot on that fucking hell continent. No. Too many of those disgusting friendship loving equines. No. Give me genocidal griffins all the damn way. Howdy everyone, I'm Shadow the Hawk. As Sam just did state, I was playing Hearts of Iron 4 Equestria at War on my channel on episode 2, playing as the Griffonian Empire, attempting to scrub away the filth that is the ponies and establish a new Griffin Reich on the world. I'm probably getting Sam taken out for that language. I apologize, Sam. I do those streams whenever I've got an afternoon or an evening free. I tend to post them early on Twitter beforehand, so keep an eye over there. I also, Monday nights, when I've got the chance, I do Hawk Talk, which is basically just I pick a topic, I start talking. Link to the StreamYard is in the chat. Feel free to join. Those start around 7:30, 8:30 Mondays. I have a Wednesday night D&D stream. Starts 8:30 p.m. I've got a bunch of really cool people there. Talk to Andy about it. He's always a regular in the chat. You can check out my bad takes and my good takes over on Twitter. And then my coffee page has some original Iron Age content. Bit pretty big writer's block spell, so nothing new for a while, but I'm going to try to fix that. And then I'm actually currently testing out recordings for some readings of these books right here, the Conan series from Robert E. Howard. Going to be including some of the images I've got from my comics and all that, as well as some half-assed voice acting. Might be something cool to check out on my channel. Keep an eye out for that. And yeah, that's about it. Sorry for the long-winded explanation. I'll be
No,
going
no,
now.
no. You're good. I would like to also point out that while you have had a hawk talk for a while now, so apparently Haley Welch is starting a podcast as well, and it's also called Hawk Talk.
If she comes for me, I have fucking evidence on my
You know,
channel that
you
while I
know,
haven't been
spit on
consistent,
that
I've had
mic.
that fucking name for months. Fuck these people. If I get that accusation, if I get that fucking accusation.
No, she hasn't started yet. I know you've been doing this longer. I just think it's funny that you're using Hawk Talk.
I'm gonna get some motherfucker in the chat. I'm gonna get someone in the chat going, you're just ripping off that Hawk Tua chick. I'm gonna go Dexter on their ass. I'm
Honey
gonna go
down.
Dexter fucking Morgan on their ass if
No,
I
I
get
know
that.
you, bro. You're not going to go Dexter on them. You're going to go Jay and Silent Bomb Strikes Back on them. Which
Just
I don't know
order
what that is.
quantifiably more terrifying.
I don't know what that is. I'm concerned now.
Did you call us fucking clown shoes?
That man called me a clam digger, man.
Oh,
Niger.
you need to go watch Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
You know, I'm going to have to kidnap this kid, take him on a road trip, lock him in a little booth with nothing but a TV.
No. I've already got
Road
some other
trip.
people talking about road trips. One of them threatening
We'll
to
make a
kidnap
team
me.
out of it, dude. You won't have a choice or a chance.
No, not happening. I've already got one person threatening to take my kidney if I don't go on a road trip with them. You're not doing that as well, Squatch. Bad Squatch.
I'm not talking about kidnapping you. I'm talking about like getting you really, really drunk, getting you to agree with it, and then getting in the RV, and then you're in Arizona.
I had to sit through a fucking 30-minute presentation twice to be explained why that is a bad thing by my college. So please no.
Oh wait, no, I'm not
I
sexually
hate
attracted to you at all. I just want to get inside your mind.
Yeah, your mind.
I'm gonna fucking go.
Bye. You know, that's probably one for the
Night,
mind
y'all.
goblin there, Sam.
Just think of the blood as lubrication, boy. See, Shadow.
That's right. You know, that's probably one for the mind goblin.
Right? Oh man, he's a good kid. Definitely go check out his channel and wherever he pops up. You know, he knows his shit within his specific interests. He's very, very knowledgeable about these things.
Between like, what is it, 1740 and about 1894.
Yeah, well, it's like anything between like say the Battle of Thermopylae and 1945. Everything between 1945 and now, not so much.
Yeah, it's like he hasn't even been on this planet for the past 30 years.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
know. He only lasts 19 or so, but it only for the last 15 or so. But tomato.
It's always interesting getting the perspective on the past from somebody who wasn't there for it.
Yeah, because you always get like the distilled version of the zeitgeist truth, right?
Mm-hmm.
The things that people believe are true, when reality quite often isn't nearly as nipped and tucked as all that.
Well, that's one of the things I saw this meme the other day that really just tickled my fancy, you know, in terms of like history and like all the stuff that people are saying now. World War II has been a really big topic for a long time, and it's actually exploded again here recently on Twitter, particularly to do with certain things that we're not supposed to criticize or question, or, you know, it is what it is. Whether I agree with those things or not is not the issue here, but the fact is people are talking about them again. And the problem that I'm having is that, you know, aside from the why can't we ask questions about things, I'm not saying that I know everything either. But you know that old adage about how history is written by the winners, right?
Yep.
They're always assuming that the winners have always been the good guys.
Well, since history is written by the winners write it as if they are the good guys.
Yeah, yes, but future generations just assume that they were telling the truth about that.
Right. And that is the wildest thing. I mean, if you think about it, take Sparta. So everybody loves Sparta. Sparta's yay, Sparta, but that place wasn't cool, dude.
No,
Like it was wildly communistic and strangely collectivist at the same time. You know
it
what
was
I mean?
harsh. It was brutal. It was filled with
It
all
was
kinds of
brutal.
fucking degenerate sex and murder. And you couldn't even hang a picture on the wall. You got kicked out.
Right?
You know, you know, if you were if you were
300,
born with pigeon toes, they tossed you off a fucking cliff.
right?
You
There's
know?
this one scene, and it's probably the only scene from 300 that actually smacks of a Spartan, and it's the scene where the guy says something about a woman speaking to a man, and she says only a Spartan woman can birth a real man,
Yeah.
and that's a thing. That's totally a thing. You couldn't become a Spartan. You didn't go to Sparta to train and be a soldier. In fact, Sparta had some of the lightest alliances you could possibly have in history. These guys had one of the best armies on earth, but only ever went to the highest bidder unless the church sent them, right? And when I say the church, I'm talking about the Hellenistic gods, not the modern church.
Yeah.
On top of that, they had allies all across the Hellenistic world. But when an ally was under attack, unless a Spartan was killed, Sparta didn't care. However, if you sent an emissary to Sparta and was like, hey, we're going to be under attack, we've got about 6 weeks to prepare, we need your help, can you send us an army? They would send one guy, one dude, not a household, not a squadron, not none of that, just one dude. Hey, anybody gonna go help Athens? They're gonna fall if we don't go over and help them. All right, I got it, man.
Mm-hmm.
Any random asshole on the street of Sparta would beat Conan's ass down like a redheaded stepchild.
Sure.
That's
because the ones who survived had to be that tough. Most of the ones who weren't that tough, there were Spartans who weren't that tough. They didn't live that long.
Now, there was one way to get to you didn't become a Spartan, but you might be able to get a Spartan vote. And the way that would take place is, you remember the scene where they meet the Acadians on the mountain. And it's like, what are you, a blacksmith, a potter?
Yeah.
I brought more soldiers. If one of them boys proves himself on the battlefield, they might take him with them when they leave.
Sure, but they'd never be a full citizen.
Not a Spartan.
Yeah.
Now, he might get a vote on some things, but he would not get to vote where they go to war. There's a lot of stuff. There's a whole lot of stuff that he would not get a vote on, but he would be allowed to come into the gates to do business in the market. If he married a Spartan woman, he might be able to cast her vote.
Sure.
If he fathered a Spartan child, then he might be able to cast the child's vote. There were some weirdnesses in there. You just had to be a spiritual Spartan to be able to get in, and you had to be real. You couldn't fake it.
Yeah. Well, there was some stuff that was a little bit accurate in that book, but in that movie. But you got to keep in mind that movie is Zack Snyder's interpretation of Frank Miller's graphic novel, which is very loosely based on historical accounts of the Battle of Thermopylae. But some of the stuff in there was a little closer to accuracy than they say not. And the stuff I'm talking about, though, was not like, Spartan society so much as it was about the priests and the oracle.
Yeah.
Because they would take these underage girls and they would drug them to within an inch of their sanity. Right. And you'd go to the priest and you'd be like, hey, should we do this or should we do this? And they'll be like, I'll be right back. Let me consult the oracle. And then he'd go and rape this underage drugged up girl and come back with an answer.
Right. I mean, yeah, there's that. There's also there's a few historically accurate lines utilized, but I guess they'd have to be the line about our arrows will blot out the sun,
Mm-hmm.
then we will fight in the shade. That's about as Spartan as it fucking gets, dude. You don't get no
Yeah.
harder than
That line goes pretty hard, yeah.
that. Dude, that one, and it's not yours anymore. That's some good shit, dude. I might have to go watch that movie when we leave here, dude.
Hey, look, the movie's good. You know, I don't say that about a lot of Snyder movies, but that one's good. He didn't write that, of course, though, and it was based almost entirely on Frank Miller's work. And Frank Miller, at one time, was a very respected and writer, even though he has written some shit that wasn't very good, like RoboCop 2 and 3. He didn't write the first one, which was good, but you know, but yeah. So it's just that's not like all Snyder did was put that shit to film, you know, and then slow it down a lot.
He applied bullet time to fucking swords, which was brilliant. He also, I'm a little, I don't know. I'm not homosexual, not really. I like to play one on YouTube sometimes. That movie
Gave you some feelings that you didn't know what to do with.
I don't know what to do with them, and I'm gonna go watch it again and see if I can figure it out.
It's abolitious. I remember I was watching back in the days when I used to watch channels like Screen Rant and like what the fuck was it called? They used to do movie fights and shit, and Honest Trailers. I forget what the name of the channel was, but anyway, they, you know, back when I used to watch them, I think one of their female people was on there talking about that, and she called that movie abolitious because of all of the CGI, you know, ab muscles that are prominent.
Spraying on ads, man.
These motherfuckers had 9 packs.
Hold on. There's another movie. Oh my God. It's about the other 4 Spartans. I think it's like 304 or 308 or something like that. And it's about these guys that they tried to leave back in Sparta because they didn't make the cut, right? And instead they like hustle off behind them and chase them down, and they get there just as the battle's starting, and they're terrible. They're so bad. Oh, it's actually a pretty decent movie. It's Meet the Spartans, I think, is the name of it.
Yeah, that's what Andy Pickle's saying. I hadn't actually watched it.
There's this really fat dude with a beer belly that has airbrushed abs. And the other guy's kind of chunky too, and he's wearing one of those clamshell cuirasses, and he is forced into it so that the metal is like straining to hold him in.
Oh man. Yeah, there's some fun stuff out there. I don't know. I don't watch as many parodies as I used to because honestly, that whole genre, after I think Scary Movie 3 and the death of Leslie Nielsen, like the parody movies ever since then have just kind of not been on the same level.
Well, I mean, there's a couple. You had Kick-Ass. Was that a parody movie? I don't know.
No. Kick-Ass was a bit of a deconstruction of the superhero thing. But it was no, it's not a parody. It's based on a comic series by Graham Nolan, I think.
Oh yeah, that's
no,
right.
not Graham Nolan. Scottish dude. I'm trying to remember what his name is off the top of my head. I don't want to give credit to the wrong guy. But yeah, no, it's a bit of a deconstruction and like a don't be an idiot, you can't be a superhero story.
You're right. That is him, isn't it? As Hercules plays the second to the guy who plays Leonidas, and it's who's the guy who played Hercules? Kevin Sorbo.
Yeah. Dude, did you ever watch Andromeda?
Yes. Dear God,
okay.
Yes.
So in the final, like, I don't remember if it was the actual final episode, but it was pretty close to of the final season. And they're getting ready to like abandon, you know, Rami and whatnot. He's like, wait, I got to get something out of my cabin. And so they follow him to his cabin. And Kevin Sorbo gets down. He takes his panel off the floor, or off the wall close to the floor, and he starts pulling shit out of there because he's got, you know, some special weapon or device or something he's after. But the first 2 things he pulls out is a blonde wig and a broadsword.
I remember that. Mom laughed so hard she cried.
Yeah. And then they're like, "What the fuck?" And he goes, "Don't ask."
Yeah. What's funny is he pulls them out like he didn't know they would be in there. He's like, looks
I
at
bet
them.
he didn't. I bet he didn't. I bet that the props department didn't tell him those were going to be in there.
Right. The response is solid gold. It is absolute factual actual. Right. It's
I'd
wild.
love to ask him about that, because honestly, I think that probably was like an outtake prank that got left in.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, when you're sitting in the cutting room trying to figure out what you're going to leave on the floor, and
Mhm.
you're like, go get Jimmy. He's got to see this. Check this out. And he laughs his ass off, and then the next guy laughs, and then the next one. Eventually, you just look around and you're like, yeah, I just cut that piece out. Just let it roll. I haven't seen what is that? This BBC PBS. I don't watch those types of videos, man.
I've heard of Blake Seven, but I never watched. I don't watch a lot of BBC because most of it's just not that interesting to me. You know,
Right.
like you're talking like Whovians and fucking Blackadder and stuff like that. And some of those shows are all right, but it's not like a staple of my entertainment. No.
That's why I like Anti-At Jack.
Yeah, I like some BBC shows. There are some that I that I do, but like I never got into Doctor Who, for example. My father liked Doctor Who from
Dude.
way back with the first
Man,
Doctor. This shit bores the hell out of me.
I actually kind of like the premise of the first Doctor, right? Not because it's great, because listen, I used to watch the old Sherlock Holmes shows and stuff, and I mean like the really old ones.
Mark Miller, thank you, Anti-At Jack. Mark Miller was the guy who wrote Kick-Ass.
That's why I love Anti-At Jack. He does that. Okay, so I never could watch Red Dwarf. Couldn't do it. It's
a comedy, isn't
it? Yes, I was. I was.
You don't sound sure.
It wasn't funny to me. I'm sure other people love it, and then they told me how much they love it, and they quote them jokes, and I don't laugh at them today, just like I didn't laugh at them then.
Right. Well, that's just a problem with like localized television, though. So like, because the jokes are all going to be relative to the culture that they're written for. So there's a lot of British humor and stuff that doesn't really translate for Americans, and vice versa.
So it doesn't make any sense why a group of kids from a town in Georgia would stand there telling me that it's one of the greatest shows ever made, when I have watched that trash my damn self, and I know good and well that Star Hunter 2000 is far better, and Star Hunter Redux is better still.
Yeah, fair enough. I think that comes down to taste, though, too, because like I grew up on fucking Monty Python, right? You know, and I'll be honest, there's some of the jokes that they tell, especially in the more modernish skits, and I don't mean like made recently. I mean like take place in modern times kind of skits that don't really make a lot of sense if you aren't British.
I recently rewatched one of the Monty Python bits, and it's the three guys sitting in the amphitheater, and one of them's trying to state that he's a woman. And I swear to God, it sounds just like a modern liberal, dude.
No, that's the thing. It was a joke back in the day.
Right? I didn't say it out loud.
Let me ask, because I got a favorite. What if you had to pick a favorite Monty Python sketch from over the years, like which one would be your favorite?
All right. I think it was from Monty Python and the Search for the Holy Grail. I'm not certain exactly where it shows up, but there's this scene where they're doing the coconuts, riding across the fields or whatever. There's some peasants wallowing in their poverty. and they have an argument over what type of monarchy they're under. And it's like, no, it's more anarcho-communist.
Help, I'm being repressed.
Help, I'm being repressed.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. My favorite, I think, probably is from Monty Python's Flying Circus, and it's where the British soldiers are occupying India, right, in like the late 1800s or whatever. And so they've got these mosquito nets around their tents, and something makes a great big hole in the dude's mosquito tent. And they come to find out that whatever it was that made that hole took the man's leg in the middle of the night without him noticing. It just turns into this whole hunt for this giant mosquito, and then they figure out, well, no, this is really a tiger wound. The tiger stole your leg. And it's like, well, how did you not notice a tiger come into your tent and take your fucking leg? So they go out into the jungle and they hunt it down, and then they find it. It's two guys in a fucking tiger suit who are stealing body parts from people just cause.
Another really, really, really excellent skit, and it's during the Black Plague, and they're running around, and she's trying to put the guy on the cart, but he's not dead yet.
Oh yeah,
if you watch,
I'm feeling much better. I think I might go for a walk.
But no, if you look at the cart, there's another guy on the cart who is doing his best not to laugh, and you can see him shaking, listening to this madness take place around him. And the guy that's did the scene notices him shaking and whops his foot with it's so brilliant. Oh my god. Oh, we'll never have things like that again. It's like Blazing Saddles. You know, Blazing Saddles just got re-released, right?
Yeah, I think actually that came up on a didn't you and I talk about that recently?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, that you know, it's like what are they doing to it? What's different about it?
You know, the most racist line in that entire movie is, and it's not racist at all, but it is the way it's used. Purdy near lost a $400 hand cart.
Yeah.
I will stack that
there
one next to anything else in that movie as far as racism. That's the one. Even dropping the hard R doesn't ring the bell quite as hard as that one.
Yeah, it's pretty high up there. I'll give you that. And it's like right towards the beginning of the movie too.
It's right off the rip too, man. Like, would it surprise you to know that I can do the entire Teutonic Twat song and dance as any member of that particular dance crew or the lead singer? And here's the funniest part. I have a small troop of friends from high school that occasionally when we were in bars drunk, someone would say something from that movie, and then 4 or 5 of us would jump up and do the whole bit, all the way where they run out of the freaking bar carrying the guy and throw him in the trash can.
Yeah.
The whole bit. We'd grab pool cues or stools or whatever to use in place of guns, but the whole bit. Can dancing and everything.
You know, the British humor is kind of interesting because, like I said, it doesn't translate 100% to American culture. Like, we don't get all of the jokes. I mean, some of the words, the very words for shared things, like a lorry is a truck, for example. They say lorry, we say truck. So somebody who isn't familiar with the fact that there are different words for that, it might be a little lost, if a joke includes, for instance, a lorry in it. But it's weird because Canadian humor seems to be like sketch comedy humor seems to be a lot more British than it is American, and they're actually our neighbors. It's the weirdest thing. Like Kids in the Hall.
Yeah. Well, Kids in the Hall has its place. I was never horribly impressed by them. Like Lettuce Head, Crush Your Head. I mean, the Whitest Kid You Know was far better for sketch comedy.
Sure. I'm just saying that there are parallels between British sketch comedy and Canadian sketch comedy, which is so fucking weird given their geographical locations.
I mean, they're both palms, so it kind of makes a little sense.
Yeah. Although, for my mind, like I saw this years back. I'm working for KFC, right? And I'm with my buddy who's also working for KFC, and we go back to his place on lunch. And Mark, plug your ears if you're watching. And we do a bunch of drugs, right? And so while in the course of doing this naughtiness, we're watching Kids in the Hall comes up, and they played this sketch that I've only ever managed to see 2 times, and that's because years later I hunted it down on YouTube. That had me in fucking stitches, and I that's why I had to watch it again, because I wasn't sure if it was the chemical help that was laughing or if it was actually that funny. but it was called Skora the Gentle Shark, about this kind of tavern / bed and breakfast in Newfoundland, right? And they're plagued by a shark which attacks people, out of the blue at random seemingly. But Skora is a gentle shark, and so Skora immediately feels remorse every time it causes harm to another creature. So the whole place is filled with all of these people who were just fucking mutilated because the shark couldn't bring itself to finish killing them. And it's just the funniest fucking thing. And like the part that really gets me is when the shark starts attacking people inside the bed and breakfast.
Land shark.
Yeah, just like, the clerk standing behind the counter. He's like, "Oh no, it's Skora, the gentle shark!" And it takes his fucking leg, but with a tear in its eye.
The first time I encountered the whitest kids, I'd never heard of it. I didn't know who those guys were. Never come across it before at all. Just no knowledge of it. It's New Year's Eve. I'm supposed to go to a party, and it's like 5:30 in the afternoon. We gather all our stuff. We put it in the car, roll us up one big tater to smoke before we go. And I was just randomly flipping through the channels, went to Comedy Central, tossed it on the couch, stepped outside, came back in, and the whitest kids are playing. And me and my wife stood in the middle of the living room and watched 2.5 hours standing there because we were just like bumping each other, laughing like a gallon of PCP. Gallon, right?
Yeah, Zillage. So
I'm sorry, my wife passed. What happened? What's going on? We passed how long? For 4 years ago? No, 4 p.m. Like, get this gallon over to the guy before he kills my daughter too. Oh
man. So Zillage, yeah, if you hadn't heard of it, there was a Canadian sketch comedy show called Kids in the Hall. A lot of the guys who were on Kids in the Hall went on to do like other things and are actually very well known, like Dave Foley, for example, who was the star of News Radio for like I think 8 seasons, amongst other things. He got a little weird in his later days, but yeah, it's pretty funny. It's not quite as funny as like some other stuff that's out there though, like Sasquatch was saying. There's some shit that it's just like the thing about Kids in the Hall is they'd throw anything at the fucking wall just to see what stuck, and a lot of it wasn't that great.
Okay, so I'm fixing to do a deep cut on this one, but it's something that should be fairly common to everybody in the chat. You can't do that on television.
Oh fuck, I haven't seen that show in decades.
If you get a chance, if you get bored, go back and try to watch a single episode, pick it at random. It doesn't matter. There is a bit that I have been desperately trying to figure out how to recreate in YouTube in a format that makes sense. Locker jokes. Hey, Sam. What's
Yes.
You lean out the locker. What, Sasquatch? How many
Sasquatch?
M&Ms does it take to screw in a light bulb?
I don't know. How many M&Ms does it take to screw in a light bulb?
Mm.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Don't encourage your mother.
See, I think of light bulb jokes, and all of the worst ones come to mind. Right,
dude.
Like for instance, how this is going to be awful, folks. So bear with me. How many dead babies does it take to screw in a light bulb?
I think I ruined that. I'm sorry. Say it again.
How many dead babies does it take to screw in a light bulb?
I don't know. How many?
Enough to make a pile to stand on.
Yeet yeet. It's like, how do you get a dead baby off a pitchfork? With your foot?
Yeah. What's easier to load the back of a truck? Dead babies or watermelons? Dead babies, because you can use a pitchfork.
Yeah.
I got loads of dead baby jokes, and they're awful, folks. They're awful.
Dude. All right, I told you that I went to Savannah and did a stand-up bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did I ever tell you that story?
I think you told me part of it.
It's wild. It's a wild tale. I had a friend of mine who was divorcing his wife because he had found another chick and run off, left her with the kids. She finds somebody to watch the kids. She's going to go to Savannah to go bang some dude she met online, want somebody to go with her, you know, just in case kind of situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
So she'll pay for everything. Don't have to worry about nothing. I ain't got to screw her. I ain't got to sleep with her. I ain't got to do nothing. So shit, I'll take a ride to Savannah. Why not? Let's go. We go. I end up staying at this house where everyone that lived in the house worked at a comedy place, right? I had no idea. So I like walk in and everybody's telling jokes and I'm slaying them, dude. I'm killing them left, right, and center. They're just fucking dying. They give me a ticket to the comedy place. I walk down the street, go to the little comedy place over there, walk in, and everybody's up there doing their little bits, and then the purple light comes on. Bartender looks at me, and I've been popping jokes all night, right? Bartender looks at me and goes, $225 pot for the kitty. So go up during the purple light. That's free time. You get 3 minutes, and you either win or you don't get to go back up again today. And I was like, dude, I don't do stand-up comedy. I work like this, not with a group. I don't really know how to make that work. And he's like, what would it take to get you to go up there? I said, I want a screwdriver with 3 ice cubes and a straw. Fucking done, dude. Makes me up a good stiff one, son. You can kind of see through the bottom of it. Anyway, I go, all right, fine. 3 minutes. He said 3 minutes. I walked up there with this. It's like a moose cup. You know what a moose cup is? It's a little bigger than your usual tea glass. Kind of like a big gulp, sort of. Anyway,
okay, yeah.
A moose cup, right? Because I asked for the straw. Anyway, I go up there. I'm standing there. I'm like, I explained to him. Bartender told me I could have a screwdriver if I'd come up here and do some comedy. And if I can make y'all laugh, says he'll pay my bar tab. And everybody's like, right? Then I just stood there and drank a half gallon of fucking screwdriver, didn't say another word, and drank the whole damn thing in 3 minutes. And when I got to the bottom of the cup and it started doing that sound, I dumped the mic over in the cup, set it down on the stage, went and sat back down. And they died. Traveled them. Something about that bottomless. By the time I was done, everybody was crying. I just mic dropped the thing, went over, sat down. I said, that'll be my bar tab, and I want 4 shots.
Yeah.
He's like, dude. But it's not something I can do on purpose. It
Right.
only when I'm stuck in the spot, you know. And I hate that feeling.
To kind of tie it back to horror, you know what's always struck me as one of the weirdest and most out of place, funniest fucking things I've ever heard. In the original Hellraiser, whenever Frank is sucking the life out of somebody, right? They use that sound effect of like the straw reaching the bottom of the fucking glass. It's clearly somebody trying to get the last of the liquid out of their fucking drink.
But it's from the very beginning. The second he goes at it, it's
yeah, it's just there. It's so fucking weird.
Oh wow. Princess Bride's another one. That's another classic comedy. It's fucking it's kind of got a bit of a horror angle on it too. If you get over the swamp. Right.
Sure. There's some I would say that was pretty standard like fantasy fare at the time though too. Like fantasies had scary parts to them, you know. Like did Neverending Story with the swamp of infinite sadness.
Oh,
right?
God, yes. That the fucking oracles, dude. Those 2 species. That was terrifying, man.
Or like Krull when the old man's trying to get through the spider witch's cave.
Yeah.
Right? That was terrifying. With the glass spiders, like fucking, he's like, I'm gonna get you.
The Barbarians. You remember in the Barbarians where the weird vampire thing grabbed hold to him? It was like a giant bat thing that sucked blood. Man.
I always thought that was Beastmaster 2.
It was Beastmaster 2. My bad.
Yeah, where they just like wrap their wings around him and suck the life out of him and drop a skeleton and shit. Yeah,
dude.
Yeah, that was a weird little effect that they did for that.
There's just, if I remember right, there's nothing else in that movie about it. Like
Yeah,
there's
no,
a mix of it that happens, and then it just moves on.
well, I think at the end of the movie they show back up again because Dar makes friends with him because he's the Beastmaster.
Right. Okay.
You know,
All right.
like they come in clutch at the end of the movie as well. But like when they're first encountered, they're just like, holy fuck, what are those?
Oh, I'm going to see whose line is it anyway. I don't know if that actually went through. But it's they're doing in Savannah here in next couple of like in the next month, and supposedly we have like second row seats if the actual
Nice.
payments went through and everything. I hope. I don't know. I didn't get a verification, and she hasn't said nothing about it, so I need to check.
Yeah.
Her mom lives in Savannah. We'll just go down there and fucking crash at her house. We'll just raid the fridge. Watch this.
Yeah. The RO2USs, they're Cavitano. I don't believe they exist.
Yeah, they don't exist until they bite your face.
Dude, there's a cave in Fallout New Vegas full of the fucking things.
Yes, there is. But he says it while staring at one.
Yeah.
Why?
He's trying to reassure her. He's hoping it doesn't attack.
You don't reassure someone that it's going to be fine while hiding the biggest threat that's, we found so far in the last 37 seconds.
Yeah. It's like, what are the three terrors of the fire swamp?
Here's another one. Labyrinth. The Labyrinth really screwed my pooch as a kid, dude.
So,
first of all,
Labyrinth
always
has issues. Yeah,
that bothers me.
Yeah, Labyrinth has issues. Yeah, it's a good movie, but there's some like real creepy shit in it.
Real creepy
like
shit.
The fact that this 1,000-year-old Goblin King is really interested in a 14-year-old girl.
Well, I mean, it's worse. I mean, there's so much worse, man. Yes, this 14,000-year-old Goblin King is interested in a 14-year-old girl, but have you read a Pierce Anthony novel lately? My point is, homie is wearing skin-tight, vein-showing crotch cuggers that just, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that Bowie had a lot of input on his wardrobe on that show, on that movie, because he wore that shit on stage too. Yeah. Like, how did he describe himself as a trisexual? Because he would try anything once.
Yeah, I suspect he may have tried a few things more than once.
Oh, I suspect he did too. But yeah, no, there was just some like so I think it was Henson's Creature Shop that did most of the effects for that movie, and they did some really interesting shit. Not to mention some of the actual work on the labyrinth itself, some of the optical illusions, like when she's looking directly at the next part she needs to go in, but it just looks like part of the fucking wall. Right? They did a really good job with that perspective shot.
That was great. I mean, I was utterly impressed. There's a lot of that movie that did impress me, but there's also a lot of it that left me with like the bog of internal stench.
Yeah, or the helping hands.
Why? Oh, the fucking Jesus.
The helping hands are nightmare fuel. Yeah.
That's fucking, dude. That's body horror 101 right there, bro.
Yeah. You know, or the Fireys when she's doing the dance, or the Fireys are doing their dance and they start throwing their heads around and she throws somebody else's head. She's like, "You can't do that. That's his head. Now we're gonna take yours."
Yeah, that's
it's like fuck that. I'm out.
I may not have. What's the one with Tom Cruise? Where, oh my God, it was a very early Tom Cruise film where he's looking for a woman to find him a unicorn or something like that. I can't remember. That one creeped me out too.
Oh, Legend. Tom Cruise.
Legend. That's it.
Tim Curry and Mia Farrow, I think. Yeah.
That shit's it's not, there's nothing in it specifically that's scary. It's just the entire thing occupies this uncanny valley.
Yeah, well, that's some of that. I think was how they filmed it, because there was always this like weird glossy sheen over everything. Like they really went into like camera flares and like reflective surfaces and shit like that, and it sort of gave everything kind of an ethereal quality to the film, which was very strange to watch.
Well, Pan's Labyrinth. Okay, so all right, I'm fixing to get kind of out there for a second, and it's because of Pan's Labyrinth that I do this kind of thing. There are some movies that are made that you don't need subtitles to. Pan's Labyrinth is one of those movies that you don't really need subtitles to know what's going on. They help, but anyone with half a brain could look at the scenery and what's happening and know approximately what's happening. You don't really need to know what they're saying to get
now
the gist.
that you say that, yeah, I can see that. I'm looking back to it, and yeah, they really visually told that story very well.
If you're into any kind of foreign film, and I know we're enemies with the Russians currently, and everybody hates them, but they made a film. They made a film. I think it's called First Lieutenant, or maybe it's First Sergeant, something like that. It's about a guy who is he's a private placed on the front line, but between the time he leaves his post and gets to the front line in the Western Front, he is elevated from brevet private to brevet lieutenant. He becomes a fucking officer, but he's a good, wholesome Russian lad, right? So he just grits his teeth and bears it. But then about halfway through the movie, it throws back to the very beginning of his life, right? During the First World War, when all of this went horribly wrong. And it shows, him watching the Huns come through and burn everything. It's wild. It is wild. It's great. It's not subtitled. You can just sit and watch that film. The kid throughout it, when he's doing all the younger stuff, he's a perfect little soldier. It is an amazingly shot. It's beautifully framed. Everything references properly. Even the set pieces are done exceptionally well.
Yeah. No, there's some really cool stuff that's come out of Russia. You know what that reminds me of, though, when you're talking about like certain period of time and like, the horrors of war and all that.
Yeah.
There was there's a channel that I've brought up on this channel several times that I pay a lot of attention to. It's called Horror Babble, and it's a guy named Ian and his wife Jen, and they put together these. Essentially, he does readings of public domain stuff from like Weird Tales. They started out with like Lovecraft and Howard and like Derleth and that sort of thing.
I'm familiar with Horror Babble. I got sucked down the rabbit hole a couple of years ago.
Oh my God, it's such a great channel. But they did this story a few, I think, earlier this year, and it was about a Russian, right? So after. And I think it was World War One, but after World War One, he had ended up going AWOL or whatever for whatever reason, and he ended up in like the wastelands of China with a bunch of guys who were very much like the French Foreign Legion without actually being the French Foreign Legion, and their commander, who basically conscripted all these guys from like fucking runaways and shit, and dudes who were AWOL, was dead set on finding this mystical treasure that was going to make him like all powerful or whatever. And anyway, they end up finding several tombs, and the last one that they check, of course, they find something in it, and they're not sure what it was. But what they did was they let something out too. I mean, this is cosmic horror, so it is what it is. And the thing that they let out are like these primordial shadows, right? And they're not physical, they're not three-dimensional, they're just shadows. But anywhere the shadow falls, if it if part of it falls across your eyes or whatever, like across your face, right, you do not dare move, because the second you move, the shadow stays put, and whatever it's touching stays right there with it. So like there's these dudes being ripped apart because these shadows are embracing them and they're trying to get away from them, and of course they are literally ripped into pieces because the shadows don't move.
We got a question in the chat. Willow.
Oh, okay. Willow. The original movie with
great.
Yeah, that's a fun movie.
Absolutely
I enjoyed the hell out of it. Yeah.
Totally fun. Mad Mortigan was so on point with Val Kilmer. It was absolutely amazing. You are great. I mean, there's some excellent lines in that film. The fact that a common hocus pocus guy, a charlatan, outsmarted a witch with actual freaking magic by pulling a sleight of hand bullshit is brilliant. And then they come along 30 years later and take a big steaming woke pile of crap on it,
which was completely unnecessary. You know,
They
completely
could have done a
unnecessary.
cartoon, did everything they did with the live action movie in the cartoon, and nobody would have said a word.
I can't believe Warwick Davis signed on for that. I mean, they completely cucked his
How
character.
many zeros you reckon was on that paycheck, bro? Not
Oh,
enough.
yeah, not for that. You know, but the original Willow movie was great. It was a
No.
lot of fun. Something we grew up watching alongside shit like the Monster Squad and the
You're-
Goonies.
You ever, yeah, Monster Squad goes, yeah. It's Night Night Brewster.
Kick him in the nards. Wolfman ain't got nerds. Kick him there anyway. Wolfman's
Bam.
got nards.
Wolfman's got nuts. What was the other one? Oh God, I just had it. Oh wait, no. You played D&D, right?
I've played D&D adjacent things. I don't really go in for
Okay,
tabletop.
right. I did a full back in like the mid 2000s or so. I had about 15 people playing 2 campaigns a week. And it was set up so that one team that was playing on Sunday were the heroes and the other team that was playing on Saturday were the villains. And so I'd get together with the villains to see what it was they were trying to do, and we would go do it. And then the next day the heroes would come in, the murder hobos would come in and clean everything up. it was pretty neat. It was pretty neat. In the process of this, somebody asked about playing a brownie, and I just opened up the Monsters manual, handed it to him, and was like, go ahead. He said, no, I was thinking of Willow Brownie. And I was reading We Free Men at the time.
Stupid Daikini.
Daikini. You ever read We Free Men?
Oh, yes. We'll give you such a kicking.
Wheelie, wheelie. Which no one else would get. So I looked at him and thought about it and went, okay, I've got to rob anybody right here. So I'm going to use it. And I made him a deal. I said, here's how we're going to do this. You get 1 hit point as a monster for every brownie you have. You can add 1 brownie per adventure, and you start with 10. And he's like, okay. We ended up kind of adjusting that a little bit because in the process, the party decided they wanted to find more brownies. And so they went looking for these guys' cousins over here. And I ended up, they ended up establishing a free society of brown men, right? Which they're brownies. They don't understand what this means at all. It's so dumb. It was so dumb. It was so much fun. We had so much fun with that because the way the brownies got involved is they infested the party.
Yeah.
Like
That'd do
bugs. Yeah, they were just there. They couldn't get rid of them.
Well, probably some dumb asshole decided to ask him to help fix his shoes, and they just never left.
All right. So the way it went down in the actual adventure, the guy that wanted to play the brownies was supposed to play in this campaign to start with, but then his shift changed and he wasn't able to play but like once every 3rd week or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, well, we got to have some way to mitigate that thing. And so he came up with the brownie idea. Since he wasn't going to be around a whole bunch, we decided each adventure we'd add another brownie to it, and we kind of randomly rolled for the brownie's personality, and they vote once a week on who's quote unquote president, chief, whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Every week when he comes in, or every other week when he came in, he would come in with a different historical figure as his spokes brownie, because the party had decided that you can't talk to 20 brownies. So only one is allowed to come in and pitch ideas. And that was what was agreed. And he would show up and do, like, he had Abraham Lincoln brownie. He had there's so many. Genghis brownie, who colonized, who actually conquered everyone else's backpacks. Because at first there wasn't and after there was 6, Genghis Brownie actually like snuck over to the other side of the fire and jumped in somebody else's backpack, conquered it. It was great. It was great fun. It was because sometimes things would get too heavy in the campaign, and they'd be like, "Oh, and homie would show up, and I'd be like, "Well, it looks like it's a brownie adventure."
Right.
In the brownie adventure, everybody'd roll up little brownie characters and they'd run off and try to go do something as brownies, go kill a rabbit or something. It was so dumb, but it was so much fun.
Yeah. If you've read the Wee Freeman, I think we talked before. You've probably read a fair amount of Discworld.
I've read everything Terry
Okay.
Pratchett. Probably everything is written. If there's anything out there, I need to know about it so I can read it.
I think the only Discworld related property that he's written that I haven't finished is Raising Steam. I'm currently not. Is it Raising Steam? That'd be the last one, the one with the trains. I haven't finished that book because it's like one of those things. He was my favorite author
Yeah,
for a long
he's the
fucking
last.
time, and it's like if I finish this book, it's fucking over because there ain't nothing else coming.
Right.
So,
I get it. I read a bunch of books back in that time period. One of my favorites. There's two. And they have a similar sort of smack. Magic Kingdom for Sale Sold. You ever come across that one?
yeah, Terry Brooks. That's actually like way better than his Shannara stuff because it was uniquely his.
Yes, and it's very unique too. It's nothing like any of the other fantasies. Like
Ben Holiday, I think, was the main character of those. He was great.
The kobolds in this place are not your D&D kobolds, and they're not D&D goblins. They're like the flying monkeys from the
Yep.
the virtually unkillable trolls with wings.
Yeah, they were pretty great. Actually, I think probably my favorite book in this series. I read all of them at one point because I really liked. Long before I discovered Terry Pratchett, I knew Terry Brooks because I picked up, I think, my first copy of The Sword of Shannara when in 4th or 5th grade, and then I found out he wrote this other stuff. So I got into Magic Kingdom of Landover, and then I got into The Word and the Void, which I like, but they're not quite as good as the Landover books. Landover books are they're fantastic.
They're unbelievable. They're unbelievable. They really
but
are.
I think probably my favorite one was the 3rd book, Wizard at Large, the one where the court wizard has to chase Straub the dragon into the fucking real world.
Right.
And the dragon's freaking out because here comes a helicopter. He's like, "What manner of beast is this?"
All right, my computer looks a little glitchy. If I drop out, I'll try to come back.
Oh, no worries. We could probably wrap it up here. We're going to go for about 2
if you
hours.
like fantasy and you especially like the concept of fantasy horror or fantasy comedy, either one. Personally, I think it's a horror and it makes me laugh. There is a series called The Magical Kingdom of Xanth, written by Pierce Anthony, and
I've read Xanth.
It's a fun jaunt through puns and horrible magic and bad communism tropes and all kinds of horrible.
I've read quite a few of those books. Yeah.
What was the best one in your opinion?
Either Nightmare or Ogre.
Really?
Yeah.
I went for The Source of Magic in Castle Rugna.
Huh. Interesting.
Although I do really, really like the one where Princess Ivy gets lost and runs off and tames the Gap Dragon.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of that one for some reason. But there's like 60 of those books. So I mean,
yeah. Well, and again, while I enjoyed the Xanth series, they are very silly.
Well, the first ones, the first 5 or 6, man, they are top-notch fantasy. They are absolutely flawlessly executed. But then he admits, Pierce Anthony admits, it's the one thing that he can do that just makes money.
Sure. I would say though, one of the reasons that Ogre is one of my favorites is because the character Smash the Ogre is really compelling.
Yes.
You know, in a world where everything's fucking, you know, I'm pretty sure that's the same one where they debut the cat ass trophy.
No, sir. That's the second time the cat ass trophy makes it. The first time was in a Spell for Chameleon. He's trying to get through the centipede place, and the middle of centipedes. Yeah, he's trying to get out of the centipede place down near where the reverse wood is in the second book. He doesn't realize he's that close to the source of magic, and he stumbles into a pun trap. And one of the pun traps in the pun trap is the cat ass trophy.
Right. Yeah, there's some weird shit in those books. I kind of like Piers Anthony's take on science fiction better though than I do his fantasy.
You like Frightful Mode?
What's that?
The Mode series?
I didn't read all of those. I read a lot of one-off books that he did, like
Right.
Kilobyte, for example, which was about video games. And then Mute, I think, was probably one of my favorites.
If you get a minute, there's another series that he did that a lot of people kind of shy away because it's very not like Pierce Anthony. I think he had a co-writer with it.
Is it Incarnations? It's not Incarnations.
No, those are great. Those are great.
I love those books.
This is the Split Infinity series.
I'd heard of it. I haven't read it. Yeah,
dude, the Blue Adept. In fact, the Blue Adept is a large portion of my philosophy on just dealing with people in day-to-day life. Right? He has this philosophy. He's not supposed to be here. He's the wrong guy. He's got a serious case of imposter syndrome. Even though he's accomplishing all of the things, he's meeting all the challenges, he's doing all the things, he's done all the stuff. These other mages who are also sort of imposters in their own rights are coming to try to kill him because the blue one, the Blue Adept, is the most powerful. And they are attempting to try to team up without killing each other so that they can kill him. And there's a whole series of books about it. And none of it makes any sense. But the stupidest part of this whole series, the Blue Adept's power is speaking things into existence through the power of rhyme.
Interesting.
All the other wizards have to do other things. Some of them to sing and dance like shamans. Some of them grab dirt, throw it in the air, it becomes fire. I mean, there's a bunch of weird stuff. His happens to be rapping. He goes in and throws down a slam poem and kills you with it. He actually slays people with his words.
Huh. Yeah, no, I might look into that down the road here.
Yeah, no, there's all right. So there's several subplots there. One of the things is juxtaposition. That's a good one. Split Infinity. Yeah, that's fucking awesome. That whole series is really weird. He also did another one called Carillion Quest, which is a huge sci-fi thing where it's people and aliens, and we lost him. He's gone, and I don't know what to do about it. Or is this just me falling out? I'm starting to glitch up too. I don't know. The magic of Xanth. Yeah, no, that's beautiful, dude. That's great.
Sorry about that.
It happens. I told a really bad joke while you were gone. We're both going to get strikes.
That's fine. It's fine.
Excellent.
This is all fine.
Just burn it everywhere.
Oh, man. Yeah, we should probably call it there before I break something accidentally.
Yeah, no, mine's fixed to start. Mine just started glitching up too. I think maybe they're trying to do an update and we're live.
Yeah, they've been doing a lot of fucking updates lately. There's a whole thing also.
Service?
Oh yeah, I also looked at the new pricing that they're gonna shove down my fucking throat.
Yeah, what does it look like?
Well, currently I'm paying pretty close to 30 for all the benefits that I get here. It's gonna jump up to almost 90 a month for the same shit. Actually, slightly less benefits than I'm getting now.
Well, you can go dark mode now, so you might want to take advantage of that while you still have the chance.
Dark mode is for pussies.
Dark mode is for professionals. If you want your shit to look professional, dude, it's hard to do it with a bright ass freaking screen sitting over there, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Of course, you all can't see the reflection on my face anyway, so it's fine.
But we have to see the reflection on our faces when we're watching it on the stream. But that doesn't matter, does it?
No, not at all. So, I mean, pretty much the only light in my room, in this room right now, is coming from the fucking computer screen, which is not in dark mode.
I bet you look like Gollum. Your eyes this big around.
Yeah. So I would like to take the time to thank our chat for hanging out with us despite all the technical difficulties and the. Well, I would say I would apologize for the meandering conversation, but that's really why you come here. I mean, let's be honest. This is what we do, especially me and Squatch. It is so easy to get us distracted and put and sent down a tangent. It's doesn't take much. It's just it's like gravity. All it takes is a little push. But yeah, thank you for being here and hanging out with us tonight. It's been a fun show. Lawrence will be back next week, and we will get back to our regularly scheduled shenanigans at that time. But I'd also like to say thank you to Shadow of Hawk for jumping in, and Caucasian Sasquatch for filling in for Larry, and just generally being awesome. Yeah, it's been great. Let's just end it on that note. This has been a good show. I'm happy with it. I hope everybody out there is happy with it. So
magnificent.
Yeah. Enjoy some of that shit. Although seriously, don't watch Cannibal Holocaust. Don't do it.
It may actually be illegal in some countries still.
I'm pretty sure it's not in the States. So yeah. It's not widely distributed here because it's super fucked up, but it's not illegal. Anyhow, thank you all for coming. It's been a great show. I am going to attempt to do all this shit from my phone because wait, maybe I can get in the back door with the StreamYards here and take
Sam,
a stop there.
You know good and well I'll always let you in my back door.
I'm a slide right in, baby. All right.
You're hard to quit.
Before this gets too gay, have a great night, everybody, and remember, it could always be worse. It could be raining flaming cobras. Bye. Maybe that didn't work. Hold on a second.
We're gonna leave. We promise. We're not gonna leave. That's all, folks.
Jesus H Christ.
No, you can call me Sasquatch. It's okay.
All right. Okay, so scroll down. Blah blah blah. Everything's under weird fucking tabs on my phone. This is a strange experience. Good night, everybody.